Welcome back, gentlemen, and let me say this straight. Their game got cooked. You spun the whole thing around. You didn't just walk into a war. You walked into their trap and made them wish they never played. You weren't supposed to survive, weren't supposed to last, weren't supposed to win. But look at you now, still standing, still dangerous, still burning with that fire they tried to drown. You didn't just flip the script, you rewrote the whole damn story with blood, grit, and a stare that makes the night jealous of your darkness. Because this world, this crooked stage built for liars, cowards, and paper kings, it was never designed for men like you. It was built to chew you up, to turn your spirit into dust and your ambition into ash. They stacked the odds, loaded the dice, and smiled while whispering your failure in backroom prayers. But you made failure scared to touch you. You broke the rules they thought were written in stone. And when they tried to bury you under their noise, you taught them silence. You taught them pain. You reminded them that some storms can't be forecast. They just come crashing in, wearing your name like thunder. They called it a game because they thought it was all fun and predictable. A strategy, a puzzle, a dance of power and control. But you turned it into war. You weren't just playing, you were hunting. You watched, waited, moved like a shadow under their spotlight. And when the time came, you didn't just strike, you obliterated. And now, they're sitting in the wreckage of their illusions, choking on the smoke of their own arrogance, wondering how a man they laughed at became the nightmare they can't wake up from. They didn't see the grind. They didn't feel the sleepless nights, the clawing thoughts, the silent screams. They didn't taste the bitterness of rejection, betrayal, and loneliness you swallowed like it was fuel. They saw the mask, the silence, the cold eyes, and they mistook it for weakness. What fools, what damn fools. They never knew you weren't hiding. You were becoming. Every insult, every cut, every shadow that tried to consume you only sharpened your edges. You bled quietly, but you bled with purpose. You broke, but you broke forward. And now, here you are, unchained, unhinged, unforgiving. You didn't just survive the fire, you made it your ally. You became what they feared the most, a man who lost everything soft and found something hard and eternal in the rubble. They pushed you to the edge, thinking you'd fall. Instead, you flew. You turned the cliff into a launching point. You took their tower and brought it down, brick by brick, while staring them in the eye. Now they see you not as a threat. Number, that would be too kind. They see you as a reckoning, a response to everything they thought was untouchable. And when the smoke clears, they'll know. This wasn't luck. This wasn't chance. This was inevitable. Your hands weren't made to beg. They were made to build, to break, to bend the world into something that answers to you. And when you walk into the room, silence doesn't follow. It kneels. Because you earned this. You bled for this. And no one, not them, not fate, not some half-dead system, is going to take that away. They thought their whispers could haunt you, but now your name is the one that haunts them. You moved like a ghost through their walls, and now you're realer than their gods. You became the monster their lies feared at night, the storm their empires couldn't forecast, and no one saw it coming until it was too late. They planned. You executed. They talked. You acted. They waited. You burned. Because you don't chase what's already yours. You take it. You demand it. You make the very ground remember your weight. And when they write about this, they'll say they never stood a chance. Because the truth is, they didn't. You walked in with scars, and they thought you were weak. But every scar was a roadmap, every wound a weapon, and every mistake a message. I'm not done yet, so let them cry over the ruins. Let them whisper to each other about how they never saw it coming. Let them tell stories about how you rose like something from myth, a force no one could contain. You didn't just win, you remade the battlefield in your own damn image. And while they stood in their pride, you tore it apart with nothing but will and rage. You weren't lucky. You were inevitable. You were the chaos they tried to suppress, the wild they tried to tame, the truth they tried to silence. They gambled everything on your silence. But you made noise. Real noise. A noise that echoes through the walls of every scheme, every backstab, every betrayal they called strategy. You shattered their illusions, burned their ladders, and danced on their ashes. Because they forgot one thing: you don't play games, you end them. And now, when they speak of how it all fell apart, they'll start with your name. You didn't just twist the knife, you made them thank you for it. The darkness they feared, it wasn't the absence of light, it was you. You are the reason the stars look nervous now. You are the reason shadows bend instead of stand still. You didn't become a legend. You became a consequence. And every empire built on your doubt, every smirk thrown at your ambition, every eye that rolled when you spoke, they all pay now, in full, in silence, in surrender. And you're not done, not even close. You think this was the summit? This is just the start of the avalanche. You're not here to peak. You're here to dominate until the horizon bends around your ambition. Everything behind you was just prelude. The cold, the silence, the 1,000 small deaths that came before this. They weren't setbacks. They were rituals. They were the sacrifices you made to kill off the weaker versions of yourself. And now there's nothing left but steel, scars, and fire. The kind of fire that doesn't flicker, it consumes. See, they don't realize yet that your rise wasn't a miracle. It was mathematics. It was inevitability. It was repetition forged into purpose, pain sculpted into resolve. You showed up every day when no one was watching, when the weight of the world wasn't just on your back, it was trying to bury you under the floorboards. But you didn't just lift it. You became the weight. You learned how to carry it so long, it forgot it wasn't part of you. And now, it's payback season. Not in vengeance, but in vision. You're not looking backward. You're not chasing ghosts. You're not interested in replaying the tapes of what they did wrong. You're too busy building a reality where they're not even written into the script. Because that's the real win. Not beating them, replacing them, rewriting the very definition of what it means to be at the top. You didn't come here for applause. You came here for empire, for permanence, for that cold, heavy silence that settles in when even your enemies realize they lost something they never understood. They thought you were chasing the crown, but you never wanted their throne. You wanted their oxygen. And now that you've taken it, they suffocate on the air they once used to mock you. The time for asking is over. The time for proving is done. Now is the era of execution, of precision. You move like a scalpel now, silent, clean, deadly. You've learned the art of patience, the science of strategy. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer hope, you know. Because once a man has gone through fire and come out on the other side still burning, there's no fear left to give. You know what separates you now? It's not skill. It's not talent. It's intensity. The kind that doesn't turn off. The kind that keeps your eyes open at 3 a.m. while the rest of the world sleeps, still dreaming of things you've already killed and buried. They can't match that. They won't. Because deep down, they're still looking for permission, still trying to be liked, still hoping the world will hand them something for nothing. But not you. You stopped asking. You took, and now you own. You've become the embodiment of hunger, constant, unquenchable, unforgiving. You don't chase comfort, because comfort is the poison they sold you to keep you from this exact moment. They said rest, you said rise. They said settle, you said burn it all. Because you understood something they never will. Only the relentless survive. Only those who keep moving through pain, through betrayal, through loss, ever see the other side. And now that you're here, you're not going back. There is no home for you in the shallow waters of average. There is no peace in mediocrity. There is no joy in joining the masses who traded greatness for approval. You'll walk alone if you must, bleed alone, win alone, because solitude sharpens you, makes you listen to your own breath, your own rage, your own clarity. You no longer need a crowd. You are the storm, you are the sound. You are the one the world now watches when it needs to remember what defiance looks like. And it's not just about you anymore. This isn't just personal. This is legacy. This is blueprint. This is about building something that can't be erased, no matter how many weak hands try to hold the pen. You're setting fire to the lie that said you had to be quiet, that said you had to wait your turn, that said your pain wasn't valid because it didn't come with applause. But you know now, your pain is your passport. Your struggle is your sword. Your past isn't a chain. It's proof. Proof that when the rest of them collapsed under the pressure, you stood up. You stood through. They tried to define you by your lowest moments, but you dragged those moments with you into the light and made them foundations. You built your fortress from the bones of the days that almost broke you. And now that fortress stands tall, carved with one word in every stone: unstoppable. You're not here to fit in. You're here to dismantle, to take their systems apart with your bare hands, to expose every lie, every limitation, every doubt they wrapped around your neck. Because now you don't just walk through walls, you erase them. This isn't inspiration. This is warfare. Psychological, emotional, spiritual. And you've become the general of your own destiny, the commander of your mind, the architect of your resurrection. They wanted a follower. You became a force. They wanted silence. You gave them storms, and you will keep going. Past the cheers, past the doubt, past the finish line they thought was your limit. Because the truth is, there is no finish line for a man like you. You were built for the long war, for the grind that never ends, for the purpose that never dies. So remember this: every time you show up, you remind the world that defeat isn't permanent, that loss isn't fatal, that fire doesn't destroy, it refines. You are proof that pain isn't the end of the story, it's the birth of power. And now, your enemies, they pray for your mercy, but you don't deal in mercy, you deal in truth. And the truth is, they were never in your league, never on your level, never ready for what you've become. So let them talk, let them wander, let them try to copy your blueprint, never realizing it was written in blood, sweat, and nights they'll never survive. Let them fear you, let them hate you, let them witness. Because their game got cooked, you spun the whole thing around, and now you don't play by their rules, you write them. Write the rules, not in ink, not on paper. Write them in flesh, in stone, in moments so raw, so unforgiving, that time itself has to acknowledge you. Write them in the eyes of those who now stand where you once did, trembling in silence, unsure if they'll make it through. You won't just lead them, you'll warn them, you'll show them what it means to endure, not because someone handed you power, but because you took it when the whole world turned its back on you. Let them remember that your story didn't begin in victory, it began in fire, in the kind of darkness that doesn't just try to blind you, it tries to erase you. You've been forgotten before, abandoned, lied to, betrayed. But the real twist isn't that you survived, it's that you adapted. They tried to break you down into something manageable, something familiar. But you came out of that cage with fangs. Now they want to negotiate with the beast they created and no longer understand. The silence they forced on you, you turned it into focus. The doubt they poured into your ears, you distilled it into discipline. The fear they tried to cage you with, it became the sword you carry now. You never needed to be saved. You just needed time to remember who you were. And now that you've remembered, there's no leash strong enough, no trap clever enough, no wall high enough. You're not chasing them anymore. You're chasing your own potential. And that chase, it never ends. There is no arrival point, no final form. Every day you burn down the man you were to make room for the beast you're becoming. You wake up and make war with your own weakness. You push past comfort like it insulted your name. Every soft part of you has either been hardened or cut away. They look at you now and wonder why you don't smile, why you don't celebrate. It's because the mission isn't done. You don't toast to halfway victories. You don't dance for milestones. You march. Your path isn't paved. It's carved, and every inch costs blood. But that's what makes it yours. That's what makes it real. You never asked for easy. You asked for truth. And truth doesn't coddle. It crushes. It exposes, but it also rebuilds. And you let it rebuild you into something primal, something elemental, something that can't be controlled or understood, only respected. You've become fluent in the language of war, not bullets and blades, but willpower and time. You speak in effort now, in execution, in that quiet, terrifying consistency that makes even giants doubt their own shadow. You don't walk into rooms anymore. You shift their gravity. You don't raise your voice. You raise the standard, because you weren't sent to follow. You weren't built to comply. You're the answer to a question they didn't want to ask. What happens when the one you break refuses to stay broken? This happens. This force, this presence, this storm disguised in skin. Now they understand. Now they feel it. And now it's too late. Your ambition isn't a goal. It's a warpath. And nothing satisfies it. Not applause, not wealth, not status. It feeds on becoming, on evolving, on the violent disassembly of anything you were yesterday. They can't keep up because they're still playing checkers with egos while you're waging psychological warfare on your own limits. And when you rest, you don't rest to escape, you rest to reload. You meditate in chaos. You recharge in pain, because the old version of you needed peace to grow. But this version grows through impact, through confrontation, through the pressure that makes lesser men quit and makes you sharpen. You don't hope for easy days. You demand difficult ones, because every challenge is another chance to earn your name in the storm. You're not afraid of resistance. You expect it. You've come to love the friction, because it tells you you're still climbing, still pushing, still dangerous. And what about those who tried to play God with your fate? Let them watch. Let them tremble. Let them pretend they still hold relevance in the empire you're building from the ruins of their failure. Their voices once echoed in your head like gospel. Now, they don't even register. Their opinions, their judgments, their noise, it all dies in the silence of your focus. You've built something inside yourself that can't be measured, can't be taught, can't be explained. It's forged through isolation, forged through rejection, forged through 1,000 quiet battles that no one clapped for. And now, that forge burns hotter than ever, Because the enemy isn't people anymore. It's limitation. It's complacency. It's the haunting idea that you could have done more, that you still can. So you keep going. Not for revenge, not for validation, but because there's something inside you that demands evolution, that demands domination. Not of others, but of the self. The kind of dominance that makes time slow down when you enter a room, that makes people stand a little straighter, that makes the air shift because your presence is heavier than most can carry. And here's the truth. They will never know what it cost. They'll never understand the depth of the nights you endured, the madness you stared down, the parts of yourself you killed to become this version. But you don't need them to understand. You only need one thing, to keep going. You didn't come this far to be admired. You came to leave nothing behind, to erase doubt from your bloodline, to shift the entire trajectory of everything connected to your name. You're not just the one who made it out. You're the one who made it mean something. So stand tall, not with pride, but with purpose. And when they ask how you did it, how you survived, how you became this version of yourself, don't answer with words. Answer with results, because the game isn't just cooked, it's over. And the only name left etched in the fire, in the stone, in the minds of all who watch this unfold is yours. So let them talk. Let them watch. Let them sit in the quiet they used to weaponize against you, now realizing it only ever made you louder in the places that matter most. You didn't break the game. You ended it. You didn't just flip the script. You tore out the last page and wrote your own ending. Every step they swore you'd never take, you crushed into the dirt and kept walking. And now you are unchallenged. There's no crown, no throne, no parade, just power. Just the raw, undeniable presence of someone who was supposed to lose and became inevitable. You don't need recognition. You don't need revenge. You don't even need to explain yourself. Because legacy doesn't shout, it echoes. They will feel you long after you're gone, long after their voices fade and their names turn to dust. Because you did what they couldn't. You faced the fire and became the flame. You were forged, not chosen, built, not blessed. You rose when no one believed. And now that you're standing, you are unshakable. This is no longer their story. This is your empire, your silence, your scar, your name, carved in the bones of every room you entered and left different. So walk away now, head high, soul armored, eyes locked on the next mountain. You don't look back, because the only thing behind you is proof. Proof that when they bet against you, they lost.